How are you, my fans, sneak peepers, and curious friends? I am difficult and demanding. If you want to know my real name, then hold still, and I might bring your wish to fruition. Before we begin, you can find this podcast show in iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, Blueberry, Google Play Music, TuneIn, YouTube, and Stitcher. Now, unlike the other people in your life, I actually care about what you think. So meet me halfway, take a tiny moment, and give my podcast and each episode a review rating. This is the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast, keeping it real, uncensored, and shooting straight between the eyes. The third eye, that is. I am going to hit you with explicit truth. This solo show is outrageously honest and keenly witty with a view into life. Yes, I said life. That's what we do every day when we wake up from sleeping. We are living life. Well, some of us at least. Moreover, I hope to provide you with gut-wrenching laughter and a touch of wisdom. Let's get something straight. Really, really straight. I am truly, actually, habitually, and shamelessly difficult and demanding, and I completely own it. Now, I don't ask for much because I expect and receive it all. I firmly believe that if you expect shit, you will receive shit. What does that mean? Well, it means expect nothing but the best and don't settle for less. As always, I, your host, Tara, am keeping it real and uncensored. Do you feel special? Well, you should, because today is your lucky day. So unplug from your life and dive all into episode 52 of the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast. Can we be each other's prisoners of pleasure? Captives for one another only. Let me ruin you for all others. No one will adore you, anticipate you, or surrender like I do. And in return, I will allow you to wrap me around your finger. Can you feel me? Well, how do I feel? You recognize these feelings, don't you? These desires? You must, because I am yours. I'm what lets you know you're turned on, aroused. I'm your sexual urges, and you can't run or hide from me. Before I begin, I am going to do a call out. What's a call out? Well, it's not a shout out. I am calling out you motherfucking lurkers. If you have entered my world, then be honest with yourself about it. You want to be here, and you know I want you here, so follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Finally, climb aboard and enjoy the entire show, because I am giving you plenty of ridiculous honesty. Once the podcast episode ends, I am keeping it going on my Instagram page at Difficult and Demanding and on my Twitter page at Mrs. D and D. Oh my God. What's going on here? Huh? Tell me what you're up to. Tell me. I need to know. I need to know how you know me so well. How do you know? I didn't tell you. So how do you know? Well, I can't deny my amazement. Actually, it's more than amazement. I'm intrigued and captivated by you. Yes, I'm intrigued and captivated by you. How do you know what to do to me? Huh? How do you do it so well? When I think I've figured you out, when I have figured things out, you floor me again and again and again. I'm enthralled for the days that I have with you. You are my mystery pleasure, addictive pleasure. I try to get ahead of you. I try to get 2 steps ahead of you. But you are always so far beyond me. Now, how is that? How is it that you're always in front of me while I am scurrying to get ahead of you? What's your end game? Do you know? I'm sure you have to know. I'm sure you have to know. But if I had to take a bet, I'm pretty sure that you are playing to win. Yes, you're playing to win. Win what? Well, that's something that we're both going to have to figure out. But you're playing to win. And you know, actually, I don't mind if you're winning. Because if you're winning, it means that there is awe-inspiring fulfillment for me. But you've got to tell me this. What are you getting out of this? Is it good for you as good as it is for me? Yes, is it as good for you as it is for me? Do you relish wrapping me around your finger tighter, tighter, and tighter? I'm here to tell you, you're ruining me. You're ruining me for all others. Did you know that? Because if that's your goal, is it your goal? Is it your goal? Because if it is, and I suspect that it is, well, you are definitely on the right track. Who can compare to you? Who can compete with you? Huh? Yeah, no one. You know there's no one, and I'm telling you there's no one. So I guess that's your point, isn't it? Is that your ultimate point? Is that your sole point? Is that there is no competition with you? What are you cultivating me for? Is it my pleasure? Is it your pleasure? Or is it our pleasure? But let me tell you a secret. When you ruin a person for all except for you, guess what that means? Can you imagine what that means? You're smart. You are really, really smart. So tell me, I want you to guess. What does it mean? What does it mean to you? Because I'm waiting for an answer. But while you're thinking about that, I'm going to tell you what it means to me. You see, while you think you're wrapping me around your finger, which you are, I'm also wrapping you around my finger. What do you think about that? We are both wrapping one another around our fingers. We are each other's prisoners. What do you think about that? We're captive for each other. Yes, we are holding ourselves captive for one another. Do you like that? What do you think about that? I think it's spectacular that we're holding each other captive. It's something very special. It's something very special. It's something that you should treasure, very, very much so. But I know you thought that you had all the power and everything was with you. And that's okay. It's a dance. Because, like I said, when you think you have finished wrapping me around your finger, you will slowly realize that I have wrapped you around my finger. Now, what do you think about that? You see, but as you're wrapping me around your finger, you will come to realize no one will adore you, anticipate you, and surrender to you the way I do. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? So if you don't know, I've already told you, but I'm going to say it very clearly. I am also wrapping you around my finger. I'm ruining you. Yes, I'm ruining you also. So don't underestimate my innocence. Don't underestimate underestimate my eagerness. Don't underestimate the extent of my rapture. We're playing the same. We're dancing the same. And we have the same goal, which means there's no one outside of us. What do you think about that? There's no one outside of us. Now and until. Did you catch that? There's no one outside of us. Now and until. Can you figure out what that means? So ruin me. Yes, completely ruin me. Keep me guessing. Yeah, keep me guessing. Keep me on my toes. Because as you do so, I will light up with happiness and radiate with wanton desire for you. You like that, don't you? Just know I am willfully consuming you also. This is our dance. A dance of direct and indirect unveiling. Yeah, we're unveiling one another. And we're unveiling ourselves to one another. For days of fulfilling rapture. Do you like that? I bet you do. So let's ruin each other for all others. I'm game, are you? And since you started it, I'm going to make a fair assessment that you are game. So now, guys, could any of you relate to that narrative? I know some of you can. Some of you wish that you've been involved in that. And some of you don't know what the hell is being talked about, but you like what you hear, don't you? What I'm talking about today, I am talking about ruining people. And when you hear ruining people, I don't want you to think when I say ruining someone, I mean that in a negative way. No, I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I mean that in the most positive, loving, alluring way that you could imagine. And then once you imagine that, I want you to multiply that by an exponent. That's what I'm talking about. I am talking about spoiling someone, treating them like a queen or a king, a god or a goddess, keeping them on their toes, intriguing them, making them can barely breathe to get to you. Just so excited, so anxious, so words can't describe. I think I did describe it. That's why you were listening so intently. But I'm talking about ruining someone in a purely loving, fulfilling way. Have you had that? Do you want that? Can you get that? Do you know where to look for that? Me and my crazy ass questions, right? But I meant every one of those. What would you give to have someone so keen on ruining you, so keen on wrapping you around their finger? Now, if you don't know, it's not easy to wrap someone around your finger. You have to be very skilled and good at what you do. And not do in general. Do for that particular person. Have you ever wrapped someone around your finger? Have you ever been wrapped around someone's finger? Now, I already know some of you have. I already know that a good number of you regret it. And that's the sad part about it. Because people who have the ability to wrap one around your finger, you should treat that with the utmost care and respect. That person and that relationship, that bond, their circumstances. But most people, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They take that shit for granted. It goes to their head. It feeds their ego, their pride. And they treat it like that's something they can pick off a goddamn bush, like they can pluck off a tree like a leaf. No. If you have the ability and or the privilege to be wrapped around someone's finger or to have someone wrap you around their finger, that is divine. That is blessed. That is something that you should not fuck with, and you should tread very, very, very carefully with that shit. But most people don't know what the fuck they're doing. They treat people like pawns. People are not pawns. They're people for a reason. And a pawn is a goddamn pawn on the chessboard for a reason. A person and a pawn are two different things. One is living, another is an object. So a lot of us get a kick out of ruining people. We ego trip off of that shit. The fact that we can make someone want us, fiend for us so badly. But then you treat the person, you discard them, you disrespect them, you neglect them, you reject them, you just toss them to the side like it's nothing. Now, why would you do that? When you have someone who thinks you're the most prized, the most treasured prize in the world, why would you treat them so small, so little? Because if you really didn't give a damn about them, why take the time to wrap them around your motherfucking finger? Yeah, why do that shit? Why waste your time and break their heart if you weren't man or woman enough to handle that responsibility? What you think about that? Catch that shit. You shouldn't do that to people. If you know you can wrap someone around your finger, then you need to decide consciously, do you want that role and responsibility? Because if you do not want the responsibility or the role, then you should not take the time, the energy, and the effort putting someone in those circumstances in which you know and I know that they will end up hurt. You shouldn't do that. But if you are ready, willing, and able to perform the role once you wrap someone around your finger, then you should do that shit and do it well. Because you will see one of the most happiest persons on the face of this earth, especially when they come to see you. What you think about that? What comes to mind when someone is ruining you in a positive, loving way? Well, the first thing I think, what comes to people's mind, is they feel threatened. You feel vulnerable. You feel exposed. There's a lack of trust. You don't want to feel out of control. You don't want to surrender. You don't want to admit that you may be, I hate to use the word weak, but I want to say weak at the knees for a person. That's different than being weak. We get scared of our feelings, how overpowering they are, how intoxicating they are. You don't know what to do with it now, do you? So you avoid it. You can have the best loving relationship experience in your life, but most of you will run away from that shit like a coward at the risk of someone seeing you from the inside out. Everyone should want to be ruined, especially by the right person. That's one of the utmost forms of being spoiled, is being ruined, especially if it's being done by the right person. What do you think about that? So you need to deal with any insecurities and fears that you have about being ruined. Because being ruined can be a beautiful, loving thing if you choose to work with the right person. But I can guarantee you, most people have the gift, but they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And that's when you need to tread very carefully, very lightly, very astutely, and wise. So how does a person ruin you? I think different people go about it in different ways. But if you're coming from this from a loving point of view, that person wants to captivate you, intrigue you. There's something about them and how they do, what they say, that it just raptures you. It captures you. They may be doing it intentionally. They may be doing it unintentionally. But whatever it is, the chemistry between the two of you, it's so intoxicating to you that it weakens you. It makes you want to surrender to that person. It makes you want to appease that person, because whatever that person's doing to you, like I said, intentionally or not, it's so fulfilling to you that you automatically want to please them as much as they are pleasing you. So even though it appears that they're ruining you, it's very fulfilling for the both of you, extremely fulfilling. And that is why they're able to wrap you around their finger. Now, the difference is you're being wrapped directly around their finger, but they are also indirectly benefiting from you. So I don't want you to think all is lost because you are wrapped around someone's finger. No, if someone wants you wrapped around their finger and they're utilizing that, that means they're getting something out of that also. So don't be confused and don't be twisted by that shit at all. It's a two-way street. Why does a person want to ruin you? Well, like I said, some people, they just don't know how charismatic and magnetic they are. Others is very, very intentional. They have studied you, analyzed you to the utmost extent, and they enjoy plucking the petals off of you. They enjoy unveiling you. They enjoy seeing your reactions and your responses to the different things they do. It's like being on a exhilarating roller coaster ride, one that's not scary, but one that's very surprising, amusing, and highly, highly fulfilling. Things that stay with you for days. And that person gets something out of that. They love intriguing you, shocking you. When you think you expect X, they come with Z. When you expect Z, they come with B. They love catching you off guard and surprising you with all that they have to offer from life. So you have to ascertain what that person's motive is. You have to ascertain how they're doing what they do. And then you have to determine whether it works for you before you are too far in. You want to make sure that it's a win-win situation for you and that other person. But most importantly, you want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because you don't want to be ruined or wrapped around the finger of the wrong person. Then you're putting yourself in a very, very weakened state, a state that you are going to end up brokenhearted. And when you're being ruined, you don't want to be brokenhearted. You want to have your heartfelt desires met. So how do you make sure you are in the right hands as far as someone ruining you? Well, I would start with instincts. Trust your instincts above any and everyone and thing else. Because as someone is ruining you, it's really a slow process. It's a slow, a little bit of here, a little bit of there, and it all comes together over time. It's not something that can happen like, bam, you're just ruined. No, typically no. It's a journey. So while you're going down this journey and you are enjoying this person's presence, their company, and their connection, you want to make sure that your instincts are telling you that you feel safe, you're secure, so you're good. If you have any doubts, if you're questioning, then that means there's something not right. And if there's something not right, I don't care how big or small it is, what I would suggest with you is not to let that person take this too far. Don't you let it go too far, because you have to have a certain level of trust and respect, admiration, appreciation, and adoration. If you're missing the basics, you don't want to be ruined by someone, because that person they don't know how to handle your heart. They don't know what to do with you. And you will end up brokenhearted if you are fucking around with the wrong person. You know, people, they like to bait and switch. They like to seem like they're this nice, loving, charismatic person. And then when your feelings are big and deep, they show the real them. That's what I'm talking about. Your instincts, they always know. And you must trust it whether you have proof or not. Because I'm not sure if you guys know this. There's a lot of wolves that like to dress in sheep's clothing. And the only way you can tell is by trusting your instincts. And you trust it as long as it works. But when you start getting red flags, that's the time for you to make an about face, a U-turn, and go the opposite direction. And I don't care how wonderful the person seems. Because if you stay around until they break your heart, then you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass because you didn't trust yourself and move on when you should have. Trust your instincts. How does it feel when you know a person is so influential over you? Yeah. How does it feel? I would say for most, it's highly, highly uncomfortable because you don't like to admit or acknowledge that someone has that much power, that much influence over you. Because we like to be all powerful and all knowing all the time. So when you realize that, oh my, I'm feeling like I want to surrender. I'm feeling vulnerable. I'm feeling all of my feelings. And I don't feel as strong as I'm accustomed to. We got a problem with that. And that is why I told you earlier, you want to make sure that the person who's spoiling you, ruining you, loving you to the utmost, your instincts trust that person and they're telling you that it's safe and it's okay. Because this is one of the ultimate forms of being vulnerable, being exposed. And you don't want to leave yourself vulnerable and exposed to the wrong person. Why would you do that? That's like taking a bullet without a bulletproof vest. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't take off that vest until you know you were safe and secure. So just like you want to be safe and secure there, you need to be safe and secure as far as your heart, your mind, your soul, how you're engaging with another. So that is why a number of us feel uncomfortable about being wrapped around someone's finger or being heavily influenced by someone in love, because we've been brokenhearted, we've been betrayed before. But if we get out of our head and get into our instincts, it will help us avoid a lot of pitfalls. But we're so focused on how things look instead of trusting how we feel. Because your feelings and your instincts will keep you out of a lot more trouble than listening to your head. There's nothing wrong with someone being influencing you, as long as it's loving, supporting, respective, appreciative, you're adored. You don't shy away from that shit. You shy away from the stuff that makes you feel horrible. Do you understand? So get comfortable with being influenced by others, because you want to be influenced by the right people at the right time, not by the wrong people at the wrong time. There's a lot of wrong people and there's a lot of wrong time. But when you find the right person at the right time, you want to fully utilize that and make the best of it. So, are there different degrees to ruining a person? Yeah. It's all about spoiling and how much love you show a person. You can spoil someone on so many different levels: mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, materially. There's so many different levels. So depending on the type of relationships and the feelings involved and the character of the people will depend on how much you're ruined. Someone may want to ruin you completely, that you only have eyes, ears, and everything for them. And that's okay if it's the right person. Some people want to spoil you for a short period of time and move on with their lives, and that would be the extent of it. So you want to make the most of whatever situations you have. If it's positive, if it's loving, it's supportive, and the duration is what the duration is, make the most of it. People come in your life for a reason. They come in for a season, and some stay for a long time. Don't deprive yourself because you expect it to last longer. If it's right, it will last as long as it's supposed to last. And when it's over, it's motherfucking over. But at least you enjoyed yourself. And at least you trusted yourself and put yourself in the right circumstances with the right people. So why does it happen at all? Why does ruining someone happen at all? And why does it happen with a few or none at all? Meaning, not everyone can ruin you. It takes a special relationship, a special connection for someone to be able to ruin you, someone to be able to connect with you. So why does it happen? It happens because something about that person's presence, their being, what they do, what they say, whatever, it feeds something so deep within you. Something that you didn't even know that you had, or if you did have it, it's been hollow and void for so long. So when that person's with you and around you, it's so satiating. It's so fulfilling. It overwhelms you in the best way possible. But you won't get that from everyone else. It takes a special connection, a special vibe for you to have that, even have that experience. So if it's the right circumstances, you want to avail yourself of that. But if your instincts are telling you this may feel good, but it's going to be bad for you later, trust your instincts, cut your losses, and move the hell on. But if you are being wrapped around every motherfucker's feeling, if you're being wrapped around someone's feeling, a finger over and over again by different people continuously, I would say there's something wrong with you. This should not happen very frequently. It's a rare occurrence. And if it's not happening rarely, you need to go find a damn therapist and work through your motherfucking issues, because it's not normal. It's not supposed to happen that frequently. Is it a win-win, a win-lose, or lose-lose situation? You only want to be ruined if it's a win-win situation, which means it's benefiting both parties. If it's win-lose or lose-lose, that's your instincts telling you, buck the fuck up, move the hell on. Buck up like a horse, which means they're kicking up and they're giving to kick your ass and go, and move on. It must only be a win-win situation. If someone is wrapping you around their finger just to mistreat you, abuse you, that's a win-lose situation. It may have started off great, but you feel crappy afterwards, and you should never feel crappy. That means that relationship is not with love, it's not with respect, and it's not worth your while. So who has the power? Who has the power when one or both are being ruined? I would say both have the power. Let me tell you why. If someone is taking the initiative to ruin you and they keep doing it, that means they enjoy what they're getting from you. They enjoy your reaction. They enjoy the vibe and everything you give off by them doing certain things. They feed off of that. Just like you're feeding off of their presence, their energy, their actions, they're feeding off of your reaction and your responses. So like I said, and people have said before, there's two sides to every coin. It takes two to balance it out. So one may appear directly to have all the power, to be influencing you and wrapping you around their finger and getting you to do all these different things. But let it be known, let it be shown. You are also a powerful force, because you're allowing yourself to be wrapped around that person's finger. You're allowing someone to have the opportunity to cater to you, to cherish you, to spoil you. So you're both getting something out of that, and you need to remember that going forward when you're dealing with circumstances like that. There's nothing wrong with being wrapped around someone's finger. As long as you're treated with love and respect, and you know that that other party is getting something from it, they're winning also. Do you understand? Is a person molding you when they're ruining you? They could be. Unbeknownst to you, a person ruining you, spoiling you, and doing all those things, they could be molding you to have experiences in life that will probably make you guys more compatible, more conducive. Now, I'm not saying you're not already compatible and conducive, but if you can tweak something here and there to make it more fluid, why not? So even when a person's ruining you and they're exposing you to all these wonderful different things in life, when you have new experiences, that shapes who you are as a being. So directly or indirectly, when someone's spoiling you, ruining you, they are molding you. And if it's making you happy, then there's nothing wrong with someone having that positive influence on you. But if someone is ruining you and not bringing out your best and not making you feel your best, then I would say you don't want to be shaped or influenced by that person, only if it's with love. So yes, to answer that question, there's a high possibility that if someone is ruining you, making you really, really happy, they are molding you in the present and for the future. When a person can ruin you, what does that teach you about yourself? Well, I would say that would teach you that you had some needs and desires that you didn't even know motherfucking existed until you met that person. So on one hand, you should be very, very grateful that they expose these things to you. So then you know if that person's there in your life or not. You know you have these needs and you know that you need to fulfill them. You know it. So it's a good thing because you get to learn so much about yourself. Things that you never knew, things that you never thought you would know. You're learning about yourself. So what is wrong with learning about yourself? I would say there's nothing, especially if you are enjoying yourself in the process. You're having fun, you feel exhilarated, you feel full of life and alive. You do that shit. But you take notes because that's how we grow as people. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with being ruined by another, being wrapped around someone's finger. As long as you understand the circumstances you're in and your instincts telling you you're safe, you're secure, all is good, all is well. But if there's any type of flags, you need to pull out and move the hell on to protect your mind, body, spirit, and heart. Don't let people ruin you or wrap you around their finger if they don't have your best interests in mind and heart. Don't engage with certain relationships or circumstances unless it's a win-win for both. If both parties aren't winning, it's not worth your time. Move the fuck on. This is all I have. Stay tuned for something in the news. So I read an article, and this article is called Many Troubled by Their Sexual Feelings and Urges. And this article said that the number of people in the United States who have difficulty controlling their sexual feelings and urges may be greater than realized. See, guys, you see, I'm already getting started because what or how does someone even begin to describe what's going on here? Controlling your sexual feelings and urges. That's like you trying to control your instincts. And I do on some level understand what is being discussed as far as acting out on those urges. But acting and feeling are two different types of things. And I know people think they go hand in hand, but they do not go hand in hand. How you feel is how you feel. What you desire is what you desire. What urges you have are what urges you have. Now, your decision-making skills in regards to those are two different things. But we are led to believe that we need to control our feelings. We need to control our desires. We need to control our urges. No. What the fuck we need to control is our decision-making skills and our ability to make decisions. That is where we go wrong. But if you have a feeling, you have an urge, well, it's because you have a feeling, you have a motherfucking urge. So why try to put a lid on that? Why try to stop that? Why try to pigeonhole that? If you feel something, feel it. Why hide? Why hide it? Why run from it? Why deny it? How does that benefit you? The more you try to push something down that is bubbling up, guess what the fuck it's going to do? It's going to bubble up. We are human beings because we are human beings. And we're supposed to have sexual feelings and sexual urges. That's how we're wired. How are you going to water that shit down? How are you going to placate something? If you like what the fuck you see, you like what you see. If you like what you hear, you like what you hear. If you like what you feel, you like what you feel. If you like what you touch, then you like what you touch. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is why we struggle so much, because we're trying to control things that we cannot actually control. And when you're trying to control some things that you are not meant to control, you cannot control, you are destined to fail. You will fail. Simple as that. You're going to fail in one way or the other. Either you're going to deaden yourself so you're walking around like a fucking zombie, or you're going to give in, cave into your impulses and do whatever because you've been basically pigeonholing yourself, stuffing yourself in a box for the longest time. Life doesn't work that way. This article said that 7% of women and more than 10% of men said that they were distressed due to the difficulty they have controlling their sexual urges and behavior. And they are feeling distressed, very, very distressed and impaired. Guys. There's someone for everyone. There really is someone for everyone. And just like we all have different types of appetites for foods, we have different appetites for extracurricular activities, we have different appetites for friendships, we're all wired differently. So how can we even begin to let someone describe or ascribe what our sexuality is supposed to be like, what we're supposed to feel, what we're supposed to love and like, what kind of urges we're supposed to have? Why are we allowing someone to tell us that it's too much or too less? That we all must fit within a certain box, a certain realm, and that's considered normal. How the fuck is that normal? If I just told you that you are different than everybody on the face of this earth, how is it possible that your sexual feelings and your sexual urges are supposed to match the bitch that's next to you or match the dude that's right next to you? How is that supposed to happen? How is that supposed to work? How can you transform yourself to be like everybody else, like it's some type of machine, some type of factory? It's not possible. You are setting yourself up for disappointment, frustration, and irrational impulsive decisions, which means you're stacking yourself to fucking lose. To lose a lot. Because you have some unrealistic expectations. Who knows where the fuck you got it from? But you're not taking the time to figure this shit out because you're going with the flow. Someone told you your sexual desire is too high. Guess what you decide? Something must be wrong with me. Is it possible that you are perfect just the way you are? And the only thing that you need to tweak, change, alter, pivot would be your ability to make decisions. What's wrong with feeling, especially if it makes you feel good? What is wrong with desire if it makes you feel alive? It makes you feel good. Why must we basically push down the things that make us the most fulfilled, whole people on this earth? You have some people who don't have any sexual urges at all. You have some people who don't want to have sex at all. So what's normal, what's abnormal? Only you can determine what's normal and abnormal. If you don't have a motherfucking problem with your sexual urges and desires, then why should you care if someone else does? Why should you feel bad that you like what you like? And if you like making love, hooking up with people, doing whatever, and as long as you're being safe, respectful, and responsible, and you have another willing participant, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the fuck you do, how is that wrong? If you're not harming anyone and it brings you happiness and joy and you are exercising safety and precautionary measures, how can having sexual desires, urges, and feelings ever be wrong? If that was the case, none of us would exist. You do know that's how babies are made, right? People are having sex. And it's meant for productive reasons, reproduction type of reasons, and it's also meant for pleasure and enjoyment. So if you're restricting a part of yourself that's more vibrant, alive than most people, then you are actually going to be unhappy like most people because you're not living your truth. You're not doing you, you're not being you. You're feeling bad for the fact that you're actually different instead of rejoicing the fact that you're different. If you have a higher libido, enjoy that shit while you got it. Because you don't know how long you're going to have it. So you better make the fucking most of it while you do have it. And the people who are hating on you, they probably don't know what the fuck they're doing anyway. And if they had it, they wouldn't do shit with it. So their sex drive is perfect the way it is. But why are you getting distressed about a part of you that's you? How can you be upset about you? You cannot allow other people to define what's your normal and what's your abnormal. That is your prerogative and your prerogative only. They said this study said they found a high rate of people with some sort of distress with their sexuality. Why must you be distressed? The only reason why you would be distressed, if you're trying to appease and please other people, haven't you figured out most people aren't happy? Have you figured out most people don't know what the fuck they want? Have you figured out that most people are unaware, they lack self-awareness, and they are comfortable and happy with that? So if you have insecure, unaware people passing judgment on you, that should tell you not to pay attention to these motherfuckers because they don't know what they're talking about. But they are busy having an opinion about how you should be, what you should be. Your sexuality is your sexuality. Your urges are your urges. Your feelings are your feelings, and your desires are your desires. You don't have to explain a motherfucking thing to anyone about what you do, who you do, how you do it, when you do it, why you do it, and if you're going to motherfucker do it again. Do you understand? You don't have to talk to anyone about anything you do because it's none of their damn business. It never has been, it never will be, and the only reason why it becomes their business is because you're either sharing the information or you care too fucking much. Your happiness should be the utmost thing that you want, need, and desire. Your happiness, not pleasing someone else. The things that they're judging you on could be the things that they want to do or they're doing behind closed doors. So why are you sacrificing your enjoyment? Why are you sacrificing your life trying to fit in with everyone else? That makes no sense to me at all. Why would you do that? Why are you signing yourself up to deprive yourself of something that you actually need, want, and you have access to? Don't feel bad for who you are. But what you need to do is be respectful, be self-aware, take precautionary measures, and be as safe as you can be. But if you're doing all that, then do what you need to do. You can't be anyone but you. And if you decide to be you, your life becomes so much lighter, easier, and happier. Distress over your sexuality. You don't feel distressed about shit. It's yours. Do with it as you please, but it is yours. They said this study said people can't find or figure out if it's impulsive, compulsive, addictive, or something else. Why does it matter? If you're easily aroused, lucky for you. Lucky for you. You just have to exercise balance. Why do we need a label impulsive? Why do we need a label compulsive? Why do we need a label addictive? Why do we need a label? You are bigger and beyond a goddamn label. And your sexuality is your own. To do what your heart sings. It gives you stress relief. It gives you joy, happiness, closeness, and a connection. When you deprive yourself saying, I'm this, I'm that, because I feel this way and I have these urges, you're stunting yourself. You're hindering yourself. And I don't know who the hell is benefiting from this shit. Because if you're not getting the gratification, the pleasure that you seek, because you feel bad about how you are, then your needs are not getting met. And you're trying to meet the needs of someone else when they actually don't give a damn about you. You're just doing shit. And you really don't understand why you're doing it. You just don't want to be judged. You don't want to be neglected. You don't want to be rejected. That's fine. But you know what? It happens in the other part of your life and you get the hell over it. So why can't you get over it now? Why can't you get over it now? They said, so what you can take from this research is that there are a pretty decent percentage of people who are complaining about some sort of negative feelings about their sexuality. And those negative feelings are leading to some stress. Guys, sex is supposed to make you feel good. And if you crave it more than others and you can get access to it, enjoy it. It will shave years and misery off your life. Why are you being distressed? Why are you compared to someone who has no goddamn sex drive at all? Have you thought about that? You're assuming that when someone tells you or you think that you should not feel this way, who can define that? What book did you read it in? If you got a high sex drive, there's going to be someone else who has a high sex drive. And that is why I said there is someone for everyone. Stop being upset about some shit that you're not supposed to be upset about and start finding ways to bring your fulfilling desires to life. They said there are a lot of people, regular folks, who really struggle with their sexual impulses. You're struggling because you're denying yourself. You're struggling because you are living a fraud life, trying to fit a mold that is too small to even think about holding you. Why are you shackling yourself? Why are you labeling yourself? There's no comparison. So if you understand there's no comparison, then we technically shouldn't have any more problems and we shouldn't be having this conversation at all. Your sexual impulses means that something has intrigued you, caught your attention. Now, I'm not talking about people who have a severe, addictive, impulsive, compulsive type of personality. No. I'm talking about people where if you have an impulse, that's called desire. How can desire ever be wrong? Feel that impulse. Swallow it. Sit with it. Digest it. And then after you do that, the next step you need to determine is someone available to help me take care of this? And is the person available in my best interest? Because if they're not, you shouldn't be wasting your time and you need to find a way to satisfy your own damn self. The only thing I'm asking all of you to consider is stop depriving yourself of your urges, your impulses. If you feel it, feel it. You don't have to act on it. And if you choose to act on it, make sure you understand why you're acting on it and that you come out feeling and looking like a champion instead of a chump. Because if you hook up with the wrong person, if you give in to some urges at the wrong time with the wrong people, you end up screwed and slammed. And we're not trying to get you screwed and slammed. We're trying to get you to you feel confident and crank whatever you need out, crank it out. Comfort, happiness, fulfillment. And if a higher sex drive and urge is what gives it to you, then so be it. It is what it is, and you need to rest it in peace and move on with your life. Okay? Move on. Stop struggling with how you feel. Stop judging yourself. Stop pigeonholing yourself. Stop it. Just allow yourself to be you. They said there are folks who engage with sex workers when they travel. Others struggle with pornography or the temptation to sleep away from their marital fidelity. Many take risks even when it can impact their lives. Yeah, when you start taking risks that impact your life, that means you've been trying to control something that has a life of itself. You've been depriving yourself, trying to be something you're not. And eventually what happens is that it builds up on you. And you cannot control it. And that is when the dam overflows. So if you don't want to drown and you don't want to be flooded, you need to pay closer attention to what your urges and your desires are trying to tell you. You need to honor them. You need to respect them and find the safest, most reasonable way to take care of it without harming you or another. Pornography. Pornography is just a fucking video recording of people having sex. And if you're having sex in your home, why do you care who wants to watch what? Why is it such a big deal to people? Why do you think you're going to be demonized, contaminated, fall to the wayside because of something that you enjoy doing. If a number of you can watch Netflix and HBO, surely you can let someone watch a porno if that's their choice, if that's what they want. What does it have to do with you? What reflection of it? What does it have to do with you? If your wife or your husband wants to look at pornography, what the fuck does it have to do with you? If it makes them happy, you should be happy. The happier they are, the more likely they are to make you happy. So why deprive them? You're making your life. Why deprive yourself? You're making your life more difficult than it has to be. And I believe in smoothing things out because you're going to have hiccups pop on the road no matter what. So you need to enjoy yourself when you can. And you need to do things that are going to fulfill you. And if you have a partner, someone who cannot respect the fact that, yeah, I like pornography. It has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with our relationship. But this is something I enjoy. If they love you, they will respect you enough to realize, you know what? That's fine. You do this. It has nothing to do with me. And if you're happy, you're more inclined to come make me happy. Make me happier. Stop feeling bad about the things you need to do. Because when you do that, you make rash, impulsive decisions that sabotage you. And if you're going to sabotage yourself, you want to do it on your terms and your way that you're safe. And you don't sabotage yourself unnecessarily. You need to win. And you need to be smart enough on making decisions to help you win. You like what you like. Stop making excuses and stop justifying. And the person that you're with, if they can't understand that and accept that, then you're in the wrong motherfucking relationship. You're in the wrong relationship. Life is not that difficult. It should be very simple. And if it's complicated, you're with the wrong goddamn people. Because we are meant to have sexual urges. Some more than others. But the fact is, they exist. It exists. It said it is suspected that more and more people are having trouble these days because so much temptation is at their fingertips. Guys, we have always had fucking temptation. Now, the excuse is it comes through the fucking phones. There has always been temptations, and human beings have creative ways of increasing that temptation from the dawn of time. The cell phone hasn't changed that. The internet hasn't changed that. The only thing that's changed is how it is made available. Temptation. It's not going to go away ever. There's nothing you can say. There's nothing you can do to get rid of temptation. It is here to stay. So you need to accept that and stop making excuses for decisions you're making. At the end of the day, it's your decision. If you have an impulse, you have an urge, and you decide not to honor it, eventually it's going to get so strong where you're going to do some stupid shit that you may or may not suffer from. But the fact is, it's your decision-making skills. You're deciding to thwart, hinder yourself as far as what makes you happy. And then you're deciding to make some impulsive bad decisions to satisfy that shit. It sounds like you're stacking yourself to be a fucking loser to me. Otherwise, you would make better, courageous decisions. There's nothing to be distressed about. It is what it is. So just a few taps on the phone and pornography pops up. And that leads people to guilt. Why the fuck are you going to feel guilty about watching pornography? Why should you feel bad? Can you come up with a real reason for me of why you should feel bad about watching pornography? You're not hurting anyone. Hopefully you're not hurting yourself. Clearly you get some enjoyment, some pleasure out of it. So what is wrong with you getting enjoyment and pleasure? You like what the fuck you like. You love what the fuck you love. So why should you feel bad about that shit? Why should you feel guilt about that? And if someone's making you feel guilty, what you need to do is start questioning that motherfucker, because you don't have the issue. They have the issue, which is why they're trying to make you feel bad and guilty. If you're not harming yourself or another, you need to rest assured and be confident that you're fine. And if a person cannot understand that, then you need to move the hell on, because your sexual feelings and your sexual urges is not going any motherfucking place until you're dead. And since you have a long, fulfilling life in front of you, You want to be as happy and fulfilled as possible. They said a number of people start out poking around on the internet, and then they're doing it more and more, and then it becomes a problem for them. Then their spouses get all upset, or someone walks in on them, and then they come in looking for help. Look, guys, why you gotta go look for some help about watching some shit you like? If you feel like watching pornography all damn day, then there must be a motherfucking reason. There must be a reason. Now, what that reason is, you need to figure that shit out. If you're doing it because you're horny, that's one thing. If you're doing it because you're trying to hide from something else, that's something else. You need to figure out what is your motivating factor and why you're doing it. But if you're not harming someone else, why should you go get help? What do you need help for? If you're functioning and living your life and relief stress makes you happy, why do you need to go seek help because someone else has a discomfort level about what you like? Huh? They got the issue and you feel guilty? No, don't feel guilty. If it makes you happy and it's not harming anyone, there should be no problem. So if someone comes to you saying you should feel bad, there's something wrong with you for doing this, no. If you are happy, that's your sign that you're making the right decision for you. If someone is unhappy with what the hell you're doing, what that means is that they're making the wrong decision for them because they should not be focusing on you. They need to focus on themselves. Live your life. Live it to the fullest. Dare to live it to the fullest. Don't let someone pigeonhole you, define you, rob you of what it is that your soul is speaking about what it needs. And if it's pornography, if it's intimacy, making love, sex, that's what it is. You have impulses and urges because you have impulses and urges, and that is how it's supposed to work. Now, what you choose to do in regards to them, that's a separate issue on another day. But the fact is, stop denying your feelings, stop denying your urges because you're denying yourself. Get to know yourself. Get to understand why you're doing what you're doing so you can make better decisions that do not negatively impact your life. You want a better life. If you want a better life, you need to make better decisions. You make better decisions, all works out in the end. So that is all I have for this week. Please join me again, and remember, live your life to the fullest. Don't feel bad. Don't have regret. Don't feel guilty, and don't make excuses. Just live your life. Live it.
Are you disappointed this has come to an end? Well, it doesn't have to. Reach out and let me know what you think about this episode and my podcast. You can try and slide into my DM, but I will kick your ass out. So I suggest you hop into my DM on Instagram at Difficult and Demanding, or Twitter at Mrs. D&D, or leave a comment on one of my posts. Now give. My episode links to friends, family, associates, frenemies. Hell, give it to your enemies. Actually, I don't give a damn who you give it to. Just give the shit to people and bring laughter to others and show your love for this podcast.
Come to me. Come to me now and always. And make sure you follow me on Instagram at Difficult and Demanding. Episode 53 is here on November 23rd, 2018 from the I'm Difficult and Demanding podcast.